Welcome to episode 231. On this installment of Book Chat, joining me are my 3 book bloggers, 1 series read-along co-host, Casey and Nicola. We're discussing the next book in series, Marked in Flesh, the 4th book in the Other series by Anne Bishop. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by Audiobooks.com. New customers get 1 free audiobook when using our promo code AudioShelf. You just need to enter the code AudioShelf on the sign-up page, then click Apply, then fill out the rest of your account info. Support this podcast by using our code AudioShelf and get your first audiobook free. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Join in the book discussion by finding me on Twitter, as well as my book blogger co-host. Tweet at us using our special hashtag, 3bloggers1series. That's using the numeric 3 and 1. Again, that's hashtag 3bloggers1series. If Twitter isn't your thing, no worries. You can call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. Leave us a voicemail and we will reply to your feedback here on the next read-along episode. Or you can join the Facebook group. It's a brand new. Join Shelf Addiction Official and talk about the series with us there. I hope to hear your thoughts on tonight's discussion. The links for everything I've mentioned are below in the show notes. Before we jump into this discussion, I have a quick note. I want you to get the full enjoyment out of this conversation, so I recommend that you read the book first. This is a book discussion, so of course, spoiler alert, you've been warned. Welcome everyone, we are back again, and we are here to talk about the 4th book in the Other series, and with me are my 2 blogger co-hosts that are here on this journey with me, Casey and Nicola. Let them introduce themselves. Casey, why don't you start?
Hi everybody, I'm Casey. I'm a blogger over at Literary Escapism, and I'm also the freelance editor / owner of Heart Full of Ink. Yay.
Welcome.
Hey, Casey. And I'm Nicola, and I've been blogging at alphaheroes.net and occasionally reviewing for other locations.
Yay. Welcome. All right, ladies.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. So everybody, if you listen to me at all on my podcast, then you know what's about to come out of my mouth based on that first sentence. Okay, let's start from the top. Let's look at this high level. Did you guys enjoy the book?
No.
Yeah, overall it was not great.
Yeah, I concur with that. Overall, I was kind of disappointed with the whole book in its entirety, and we can get into the details of that. But unfortunately, I was very confused because when I read some of the reviews, I was wondering if I was reading the same book because people love this book. I'm like, I don't understand what happened.
I agree with you. I think it gets sort of a halo effect from the previous books.
Not for me.
I still like the series. I still want to see what happens, but this book really kind of fell apart for me.
Yeah, it was definitely weak. And I'm with Casey. Like, honestly, the previous installment was good, but it wasn't so good that I had that halo effect. I didn't feel it. I wanted, I
Nope.
Okay, you guys, we actually pushed back the recording of this episode. And I was glad that we did because at the time when we were going to record, I was like, man, I have like 20% more to go and I'm going to have to hurry up and finish this. And then when you pushed it back, I was like, oh, thank God. Okay. I can just finish it over the next few days, which is bad.
Yeah. I binged the first 3 books in like a day, and this one took me like 4 days to read. So comparatively, this dragged out forever.
Yeah, for me, things didn't really start getting interesting until 60%. I actually made a note of when things started getting interesting to me. So the first 60% of the book like dragged so bad. It was just overkill of information, of things that I don't think really mattered when it came down to it.
Yeah. to me, the first half of the book read like a crappy sequel. You know, when you have a perfect first book and everything's wrapped up all nicely and everything was great. And then the author's like, oh, I should write a second book. And then they just kind of like, la-di-da-di-da. And then this happened. And then there's this thing. And I don't really have a plot. And there's no tension. That's what the first half of this book was. But it was the fourth book, not a second book. So I felt like there should have been more plot, more build up to this. And there was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I have a little bit of I don't know if I'll say I have an issue with it, but it seems a little different than a lot of books where in the first three, there's a kind of a big fight in each one of them. You build up towards the end, but there's a long after part that just seems a little, I don't know, slow. And I feel like this is a continuation of the slowness and, like Casey said, there wasn't much tension. There wasn't much plot. There were a few different threads that seemed like they wandered around quite a bit, trying to set up a bunch of different towns. And I don't know. It just didn't hang together for me at all.
Yeah, I think part of the problem was we had a lot more characters being active in the book, where we're talking to people from these different towns versus kind of in passing or, a phone call here or whatever. We spent time in these other towns. And I personally felt, how much time do we need to talk about the preparation of a storm? I mean, organizing and how they're going to survive and toilet paper and feminine hygiene and bison meat. I'm like,
oh my God.
Yeah, there was a lot about toilet paper.
Yeah.
And things for women when they get snappish.
Yes.
I rolled my eyes so hard at that. Just by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it just dragged on. I feel like, honestly, we did get in my opinion, we got a little bit of progress with, Meg and Simon at the end. But I feel like the beginning, there was some opportunities lost where she could have propelled their relationship a little bit more instead of like spending that whole time on like storm preparation and attack preparation. Because when the attack, aka the storm, came, I felt like it was weak.
Oh yeah,
as all get out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That was like anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitively. Like all of the build-up things happened far away, right? So the humans attacked in Europe, and then bad things happened in Europe, and it was like way far away from any of the characters we cared about.
So it was just kind of like a paragraph of, oh yeah, Europe's gone. The ocean came and swept them away. Millions of people are dead. Next chapter.
And then they killed Nicholas Scratch, so that's awesome. And that also happened like one-on-one with the vampire from New York, and that's
Sharks.
just done. It felt really disconnected, and like just no plot tension.
Yeah, there was no real risk. I mean, even the part where, the actual others, Mammoth's claws and teeth or whatever, when they came to the courtyard, I mean, God, she starts howling like a wolf. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
And they're like laughing at her. I'm like, what the kind of scary person? I mean, you're supposed to be scary. People supposed to quiver when you come around. And y'all laughing at this dummy trying to howl like a wolf. Like,
yeah, no. But, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. At the end of book 3, they called Simon and they're like, we know you have this sweet blood. We'll give you time to gather your humans or whatever. Like, it was because of Meg, right? So they already knew she existed. And then they acted like when she howled, they're like, oh, she's this not wolf. We like her. And then everything happened because she was the not wolf. They're like, we need to make phone calls now to the not wolf. Yes. All right. You can make phone calls to the not wolf. Like,
yeah.
You already
they're not
liked
all
her.
one entity, right?
That's true. But I was like, you already know about her and like her, and now you're acting like you didn't know she existed, but you like her because she howled? What?
Right.
What?
Right. Like, why didn't they say, oh, something in there doesn't smell like prey, but, is human or something?
Sweet blood, not prey, not wolf. What? Is she going to be everything now? Like
everything to everybody, and they all love her.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
that's
get
why
out.
they brought in this theme about how the wolves are extra good protectors because their howl tells the others that, or the Terra Indigene, that they are here and they're the go-betweens. And
well, then why didn't Simon and the other wolves howl? Why did she have to howl?
Mm-hmm.
Or Jester? He could have done something.
I'm sorry. I just thought that was the dumbest thing. I'm like, the thing is laughing at you, and then it goes and eats all the stupid dog cookies or wolf cookies. Like, I can't. What is happening? I'm sorry.
And it's
like, I wanted something scary. It wasn't scary.
For her cards perfectly without ripping it with its claws. I didn't realize it had thumbs.
Yeah. And it thought to give her a little message, lay out the cards with the smiley face or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the world building just really fell apart in here. They introduced all this, or she introduced a bunch of different stuff about how the howling is really the protection, and you don't have to cut to have a prophecy anymore. Now you can use tarot cards that aren't really tarot cards or scarier than tarot, but also tarot. And I just feel like when you do a paranormal series, you create these rules and then you have to live by them. And when you just decide, I'm going to change it all up, it just, the suspension of disbelief falls apart. And if the character driven stuff had stuck around, then I might have been able to forgive it. But Meg and Simon were hardly together at all in this book. And I just felt like it was a mess, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, even like some of the traits that we're used to from Simon didn't really come through, I don't think, in the way that I'm used to. They talked about the little spoiled bratty kids. But I mean, I might have missed it, but I'm used to him like growling at people, I will bite you. I don't think he did that. I'm like,
he kind of thought about it, and he growled at a man at one point, but then apologized for it 2 seconds later. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what is going on?
I know.
No, not at all. And it's like he's not acting in his, in his usual way, and just none of it. Like, even like there wasn't that much of Tess. I just felt like we didn't spend enough times with the characters that we have grown to care about. It was just too many characters that were taking the stage.
Yep.
Yeah, I just, Simon's arc, or his thing where he's becoming less confident, less sure of himself. He's taking in all these humans into his pack, or he's extending his protective circle, and he's doubting his ability to lead. I can see that as kind of an alpha arc, and maybe it resolves in the final books where he's, strong again or whatever. But like, all these things just happened in a souffle that caved in. It just, I keep saying the same thing. It just fell apart for me.
It did. It really
totally did. Yeah, I mean, honestly, okay, now people, and we have been reading, the Patricia Briggs series before this, and we commented on sometimes how it takes a long time for the couple to actually get together. And some people wanted them to get together, Mercy and, Adam to get together much faster. But in this, it is like, okay, but that was tolerable. This is ridiculous. I'm like, we're at the end of the 4th book.
Yeah.
Okay. She chooses to do some stupid skinny,
dive
dipping. Or skinny dipping, and she's nervous, and he gives her this stupid kiss on the forehead. I'm like, okay, and you guys weren't together barely the whole book, and that's why I'm like, there were opportunities missed where in this book, they could have had that connection, and maybe at the end they could have jumped into the next part of this relationship. But it's just, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's almost to the point where I don't even care about them anymore. Just be friends and move on.
So what really pisses me off was they had that instant chemistry in the first book, and then it exploded into like sexual tension in the second book, and everyone was like, what's sex? Here's dating. Like, here are these books. This is what you need to do. And then in the third book, it just like ended completely. They like didn't even touch each other, didn't talk about it, didn't do anything. And that's what really killed it, because with Adam and Mercy, it was always there. It was always there. Yeah. It was always at that same level.
And it built on its it built throughout the series, right?
Here,
there wasn't like this big build-up and then a drop into a hole.
Exactly. Yeah. It dropped into a hole. It's gone. There's no tension. He talks about holding her hand, and he's like, a perk of being human is I can now hold her hand. I'm like, what the f***? I don't want to talk about holding your hand. Let's get back to the naked sexual tension stuff that happened in the first book or the second book or whatever. Yeah. Like, we went from what they call kissy books to middle grade style. Like, let's hold hands.
Yeah. I really feel like that hurt. Mm-hmm. The progression of that relationship so bad. Like I said, I don't even barely care about it anymore. And to me, that is bad when a lot of the readers, including myself, were like hanging on to a thread. Oh, yeah. Like, please let us see them together. And then it's like, please just stop. just go hold
I don't
hand.
mind an urban fantasy without much of a romance. That's okay. But that's not how we started out, right?
Exactly.
Right. And I'm with you on that, Nicola. I feel like how you do. I am with you. I don't mind if it's not there, but don't start it. Don't start something you're not going to finish. Mm-hmm. If you lay the groundwork that there's no romance, no romantic, relationships, that's fine. But to tease us with one and then just this downhill slide, I think just doesn't work for me.
Nope.
Yeah, I felt like they turned Meg into a little kid in this book. So, she had this sort of childlike thing going on early on, but they really infantilized her. I'm saying they, I mean the author. I feel like she just came off like a pre-adolescent in this book with no adult feelings or abilities. She just regressed to me really sharply.
I felt that way in the third book, and then it just got worse here. Like, they just want to hold hands, and now she's blaming it on her time in the compound or whatever. But, she's been here for how long?
Yeah. I mean, and there was one scene where, he kind of hugged her. I think it was even kind of awkward, because he just thought that's what you do to comfort humans or whatever. And like they mentioned that she has like this gross feeling about hugging, and a guy touching her. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have kids in middle school, right? And this feels very middle school to me, and it's not sexy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Yeah, she never had a problem with it before. It's like the OCD and the routine stuff that came up in the last book that came out of the blue, right? Like, she never had a problem hugging him before or any of that. And now she has all these problems. And again, with the routine stuff, like, it was barely mentioned in this book while it was a huge issue in the last book. Like, she had to have her CDs in the right order, in the right spot, and nobody could touch anything ever or she'd flip out. And now they're like, oh, hey, by the way, your room's going to be messy tomorrow. And she's like, oh, I'll just deal with it. It's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, she does just deal with it. She goes in, she finds her cards all kind of crazy, and she doesn't have like any kind of, I mean, she didn't like them touching the cards. But these beings and other people have touched them, and she's not having like any kind of adverse reaction to them touching them.
Exactly. It's just like, whatever. This was a problem, and I have to mention it, but it's not really a problem. So,
yeah, it's just another brick here in the Cassandra Sangue world building is just a mess, right? It's a mess.
Mhm.
So it started out really promising and really interesting, but it's all over the place in the last couple of books. So,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see if maybe she can tie it all off in book 5. But yeah, if the first book had been like this, we would not have gotten any further.
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
yeah, you are right. And I remember saying, I feel like it was during book 2. I might have said this. I feel like I said I was looking forward to seeing like how Meg's powers kind of progress, right? They always they're gonna change a little bit as you
Yes.
grow into them and start using them. But I don't think I expected this per se. And I mean, it was interesting to me how she was using the cards and talking it through herself, right? That part was kind of interesting because it seems like, well, she doesn't really need everyone to hover over her while she plays around with these cards. But then she starts making these decisions to not share this, share that. And it's like, well, I mean, you could barely stop yourself from cutting yourself. And now you're like, everyone needs to know everything you're doing. And now you're just choosing what to share, what not to share, what's important, what's not important. You don't even know. So it was like, what are you even talking about? Like, I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me all the way.
Yeah.
Well, even earlier on, when they were talking about how the prophecies happened when there was blood, right? There's a couple times where the author says it has to leave a scar or it won't work, right? But then it's
Oh,
like,
yep.
oh, I got a hangnail and I had another prophecy by accident. Like, what? Yeah. so
Well, I picked up a card and had a prophecy. No scar.
right.
Is
I mean,
it real?
it's driving me nuts, is what it's doing.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah, now she's going by itchy levels. How much am I itching and stuff when I'm touching the cards?
Yeah.
yeah. So
Or prickly or whatever. Yeah, I fully acknowledge that it sounds like I hated this book. And I might have, I feel like.
Uh-huh.
I'm like right there. I feel like I'm so far into this series that obviously we're going to continue and read the next one,
Yeah.
but I'm not feeling good about it anymore.
yeah, I really didn't find much to like about it. The plot was all over the place. It didn't have the characters that I wanted. The world building fell apart. There's random towns that are now dead or not dead. Like, okay. I guess that was the point of this book, is to
Yeah.
make us care about a couple random towns so they could be destroyed. I don't know.
Yeah. And now all the new rules that have like kind of resurfaced, and you can't go here, but you can go here. You can take the train here, but not here. You can do this, but not that. It's like now they have a laundry list of rules that I feel like are all going to get muddled together. And in the next book, we're not going to know what we're talking about again, because it's like, well, maybe we should write the rules out somewhere.
Well, that was the other thing.
Okay.
It's been niggling at me from the beginning about the way technology kind of fades in and out as needed by the
Yes.
plot, and I thought it was like way worse in this one too. It was like, I my job has to do with supply chain logistics, and like reading a supply chain urban fantasy doesn't hold a whole lot of interest for me. and and even so, it was bad, right? There was just all this emphasis on, well, how are we going to get books from this place to that place, and how are we going to get will radio still work, and will cell phones still work? And there's just, if you're going to delve into that, you should know what the heck you're talking about. And there's no evidence that the author knows what the heck she's talking about. And when she talks about maintaining the technology levels without the infrastructure that exists in the world today.
Can we talk about the technology for a second, though?
Oh, let's.
Yes, let's do it.
First of all, who the fuck uses a telegram?
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Was I the only one confused about telegrams when they have cell phones and
like
email and the
stuff,
internet?
Right? Ranchers and telegrams and prairie skirts. I don't know, man.
Sending letters from trains or whatever. And then this was said in passing at the very end, but I'm pretty sure I'd have to look up the page to see it exactly, but I think they said emails can only be sent in short distances.
Yeah, how do you determine that? Like, how do you even do that?
Like, I get if you're cutting down all the phone lines.
And
okay.
this is what I mean by no evidence
Maybe?
that she has any
What?
idea how any of this works. It doesn't.
Yeah.
No. And then wait, so the one place needs to talk to another place. So they're like, oh, let's reconnect the lines here. So these people weren't killed and we reconnected in this one spot.
Because
so these two groups can talk to each other.
Not Wolf Howells needs to talk to them.
Right. Right. But that's not how phone lines work.
No.
Like, okay, you just connected one little section and that's it. That's just
how phone
section?
lines worked
No,
in
that's not how stuff
1907,
works.
kind of. But there was no email in 1907.
Or cell phones.
Yeah, and honestly, even if this book was written, I don't know, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, people didn't have phones in their house anymore. A lot of people don't have landlines. So, I mean, if they took down the landlines, a lot of cell phone carriers are putting stuff under the ground, from what I understand. They're using other things.
Yeah, it
so
goes
I don't
over
really
fiber
know
for
how
the
that
most
will
part.
work.
I mean, it's just, I mean, if we wanted to get into this, there was a mention in the last book, I think, about how some of these remote towns had like a house where they would have all their communication stuff. So they would literally have like a Radio Shack, which is where that term came from, for the whole town, right? Like, okay, they started to set this up, but it's just, it's so hand wavy and it's so, if you wanted to set that tech up early on, you really needed to like have a good idea of what you were doing. You would not have cell phones. You would have telegraphs and telephones and letters, and no TV either, right? So just figure it out. But it's all just kind of like, I'm going to pick the things from today that I like and that serve the story. And I don't really care how it works. Oh, I have to care how it works because I want it to not work in this part of the plot. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really, it's bad is what it is. It's really bad.
Yeah. I mean, and I gotta say, because when we first got on this call, I'm like, man, if they like this book, I'm gonna be like, what? Because we did not talk about this book before. We kept it like we didn't talk about it. So when we got on, I'm like, guys, I was so relieved when you guys were like, yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, oh.
Yeah, we've had some disagreements in the past on some books, but I don't know if you guys had any with Patricia Briggs before I started where you really all didn't like it, but yeah, I mean, the series had such promise, and I really hope that, maybe the last book will give us what we want, but from here, like if there was another 4 or 5 books, I'd be done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can handle one more book, maybe 2, depending on how the next one goes, but
yeah, it's my understanding. So there's one more book in the series, and then there's a couple of standalones in the world. So if it turns out that book 5 is awesome, then we might go out and read Lakeside or some of the other ones. But I don't think they're part of the series arc.
Well, yes, I couldn't help myself, and I kind of scrolled through the star ratings. I did not read anything, but I scrolled through it on Goodreads. I'm like, oh, snap, this might not be good. So I'm a little scared, I'm not gonna lie, because a lot less people read the 5th book than they did the 4th book.
Wow.
Just by people who are reviewing it, right? So like the 4th book had 17,416 reviews and the 5th book had 13,500 reviews. So people are dropping off, right?
Yeah. And I don't blame them after this book. I really don't.
Yeah. Man, Ann Bishop, why did you do this to me? Why? I'm feeling a little bit disheartened right now. But, who knows? It could, Etched in Bone could save it, and we can end up on a high note. But I got to be honest, even if the 5th book comes in and it's pretty good, I'm not going to say amazing, but even if it's pretty good, I still kind of feel like I'm done with the world. I feel like I'm done.
Well, I think we said for the series, we were just going to do the 5, so that's cool. And I don't know about the other ones. It really is all going to depend on book 5 for me. But like I say, the tech is really bugging me. It's bugging the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because I don't know if you guys recall my rating for my ratings have gone down. So book 1, I had a 4-star. Book 2, 4. 3 was 3, and
Yeah,
it's going down. So I'm very scared. I'm very nervous for book 5. And I know there are people out there that love this series so hard, and I am sorry for those that just love it to death, and we're just raging on it. But it's how we feel. We got to keep it real
I'm looking
with
at Goodreads, and the overall rating for Etched in Bone is basically the same as it is for Marked in Flesh, and like all of them are 4+ stars in the series. So the people who are rating it are the people who loved it. So I don't know what that means. So.
They like it.
Well, that means that the people who didn't love it, they didn't take the time to review it because they just either DNF'd it or they didn't care that much to leave a rating, because there are some negative ratings on there, but they're far and in between.
All right. Well, I'm going to go into book 5 with hope. Okay. Not high expectations, but hope.
Hope.
Hey, I'm just hoping that we actually get a real genuine kiss out of Meg and Simon.
I would almost find it out of character at this point.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. They keep insulting the kissy books, and that bugs me to no end. But it makes me feel they're not going to kiss.
What character said he read some on the sly? All of a sudden, he I read a few of those books. Who was
the
that?
vampire?
I'm like, what?
Yes, Stephen. The one that's the co-owner of Howling Goodreads.
Yeah, what's his name?
I don't know. Went out of my head for the moment.
I don't even know right now. But I'm like, you guys talk so much smack about those books, and now he just read some? I'm like, what?
He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I read some after giving them away to the other towns because they need kissy books because we don't like stocking them.
The whole I mean, I love
having
books,
them on our
and
shelves.
There's something to catering to book nerds when you write a series for book nerds, but books are not the most important part of civilization, right? When you're talking about trying to survive, they're not the most important part of survival, at least not the way we're used to reading books today. And I get why she brings it in, but you gotta have the food and the power and
the toilet paper.
So even toilet paper, right? There's leaves. Yes. I mean, I don't know. I just the
tampons.
Well, you need that. I mean, I'm sorry. When they were talking about the feminine products, I'm like, man, I had stockpiled enough for 4 years. I don't care.
Oh, that was the other thing that kept bugging me. The what's her name? Jessie, the store owner. She's like, I don't know how to stockpile. What do I do? How do I calculate how much stuff I need? I'm like, you don't calculate how much you've sold on regular day-to-day stuff over the past 4 years. Just buy all that.
Just buy everything your bank account allows.
And then some more
that people buy.
Because the Wolf Guard are giving you more money. Just buy fucking everything. Yeah. And they're like, I don't know what to do. And
check
then
the
sectors are like,
everyone knows. Everybody knows what essentials are, dude. Everybody.
I mean, the internet exists, right? We know that. So go to the prepper website and buy that stuff. Like I say, the supply chain stuff is poorly done. The tech stuff is poorly done. The characters were great in the beginning, but that seems to me like it fell apart. The world building that comes purely from an author's imagination, and so she can't get it wrong, fell apart, right? So the things that you have to be knowledgeable about, she does not appear to be knowledgeable about. The things that are under her control, she lost the threads. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. I'll agree. So, okay. Now I'm curious to see if we all agree on this rating. Is there anything else we should cover before we rate this book?
I have kind of
and
a
close things?
fun theological kind of question.
Okay,
So,
go for it.
Hopefully this will make everybody laugh after we just shredded this book. But did anybody else wonder if dinosaurs ever existed in this world? And if so, what happened to the dinosaurs?
Maybe they're the Terra Indogene. No, that did not occur to me to wonder.
That's what I was hoping. And then they weren't.
They're supposed to be big, right?
Let's see some velociraptors and T-Rexes run through here.
That's
Yeah.
kind of
I don't know.
big claws, and they're big and giant.
Like, is
so
nobody else thinking about dinosaurs?
So
They must have didn't
those
exist.
invisible
They didn't
T-Rexes
exist.
that
That's
tore
what
through
I'm
the
going
town.
to
Is that
say.
what you're trying to say, Casey?
That's what I wanted. I'm not quite sure that's what happened.
No.
Because a lot of people
No.
survived. I was like, I thought everybody was supposed to die, but no.
No, T-Rexes, I can't imagine them laughing outside the door and eating wolf cookies.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine a dinosaur doing
Yeah,
that.
that kind of killed the dinosaur thing for me. But I was like,
Yeah.
I wonder if
Yeah.
dinosaurs existed and if dinosaurs were around before humans and they just wiped out the dinosaurs. Or if the dinosaurs are the elders or what's going
Now
on
that you
here.
put that thought in my head, if I wanted to go back and reread the book, which I don't, I bet you could make a case for it, because they talk about how the really old spirits have sort of shifted and taken on different aspects of the species and the predators that they run into. So if you leave aside the fact that dinosaur brains were itsy bitsy and allow for the idea that they're Terra Indogene.
Well, maybe they've evolved.
What now?
Because I said maybe
Right.
they evolved, these dinosaurs.
But
Like
kept
they've
their teeth and claws.
been here forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Their teeth and claws. Maybe they were just the first iteration that were made, I guess. And like Nicholas says, they just kind of just transformed into something else. So they kept making more of the teeth and claws. I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, there's other things in this book that I found dumber than that theory. So,
I don't know.
so I'm gonna give
know.
Casey some applause for that.
Thank you. I was trying to
Yay.
entertain myself as I read this book. I'm sorry.
I was just picturing Chris Hemsworth, and in the training scene
Yeah.
from Jurassic Park.
Maybe we can get some of that going.
Oh, you mean Chris? You
Yeah.
said the wrong Chris. You
Pratt.
mean
The other
Pratt.
Chris.
Chris Pratt.
Pratt.
Yeah, one of the Chris's. Pratt. That's right.
I don't know. Oh my gosh, I barely made it through this book, guys.
Same.
So I'm kind of, oh God, help us, help me going forward. Because anyway, I don't know. Everybody comment and let us know what you thought about the dinosaurs. Did they exist or what? We want to know.
That's what we can talk about.
Let's go with that.
Let's talk about the dinosaurs.
Yes. All right. So are we done, ladies, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, let's rate it right quick before we log off for the day. Nicola, how about you first? What did you rate this book?
Yeah, I'm going with a 2.
Oh, okay. Okay. Casey?
Okay, so this series started out as a 5-star book for me. Like, book 1 was 5 stars. And I think book 2 was a 5, maybe a 4. Book 3, I kept it at 4 because I liked it. This one, I'm going with a 2-star. I can't with this book. I love the beginning of this series, but I cannot with this book.
I concur with both of you. I gave it a 2 because I don't do halves. We don't do halves. But, so I rounded up. It was generous with the 2. But I mean, it almost was a 1. I mean, if I wasn't committed to reading this with you two, I probably would have put it aside and just never came back to it.
Uh-huh. It was hard to finish this book.
I finished it. I still felt like it was a quick read for me, and I got some momentum on the expectation that it was going to be as good and as fun as the other ones. And it was just so disappointing when everything just fell apart, which is a phrase that I've used about 8 times in this session now. But so I had some momentum going, and I wouldn't give it a 1 without like really bad grammar and editing. So that's where part of my bar is, I guess.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've read some 1s, and this is not a 1.
Well, I mean, to me, that rate's really low when it's almost DNF'd, because it took 60% for me to feel like I could, things started rolling. To me, that is way beyond my threshold. Usually,
yeah.
I'm like, if I'm at 30% and it's like snooze fest, I'm ready to throw in the towel. Like, I don't usually push that far when it's bad, unless I have to.
Well, maybe it's because I'm reading Catherine the Great also for my other book club, and compared to that, this was super fast.
Yeah.
Catherine the Great's like 700 pages. So this felt light and happy for that compared to that.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, I guess. Yes, I can see that. Yeah, I get it.
So that's what you have to do, is read like this really ponderous Russian tome first, and then read this, and you'll give it a 2 easily.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to have to give a hard pass on that.
Oh, well, to each their own.
Yes. All right, ladies. Well, it's been fun as always. And of course, everyone, please comment and let us know what you thought, especially on Twitter. I know we'll hear from a few of you on our comments during this episode.
See if there's any big fans out there that want to fight us. Fight us.
Oh gosh, right. And of course, come back next month when we talk about Book 5, Etched in Bone. So that's it. Thanks so much for listening and tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next month. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that love pop culture, from books and audiobooks to TV and movies. I'll see you next time here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast.